Studio 5, we are scaring up plenty of ways to make Halloween fun at your house today on the show. But now a somewhat serious conversation about the frighteningly bad behavior that sometimes pops up in mom groups or on lunch dates, maybe even on the sidelines at your child's sporting event. Today's strategies to help you handle mean women. Grown-up mean girls who build themselves up by knocking other women down. Corporate recruiter Carly Hazen is here with some advice. It's always great to see you. Happy Halloween.
Thanks.
We wanted to start out with a confessional and just say, like, call out the mean women. No, just kidding. No, never.
Tell
But
stories.
The thing is, you made a great point as we were kind of chatting about this topic, and we're putting you in somewhat of a tricky position. I recognize that, but we all know someone who has demonstrated this grown-up mean girl behavior. But you point out you can't be so quick to point the finger because the mirror goes two ways.
Yeah, I think that we all can recognize. I mean, mean tendencies are inherent. They are human. Everyone has them. Some people manage them better than others. Every woman can get insecure.
Sure.
Everybody has deep-rooted jealousy and all kinds of things that come out. But I think the importance is to recognize when you feel that way, not to strike, right? And try to rise above it.
And women handle those negative emotions differently than men. That's a crucial point, I think, to this whole topic.
That is, and I think a lot of it comes from competition, right? Men are incredibly comfortable competing. They own their competition, it's overt, they can be very vocal about it, and then they can go get pizza afterwards.
Yeah.
I think women, when we feel that competitive spirit, as we do in our careers, as we do as mothers, as we do raising kids who are in competitive sports, and it all just builds, it's very difficult, I think, for women to navigate that. It's more subtle when women do it. It's a little bit more of a sarcastic comment or passive-aggressive behavior because we're not as comfortable owning a competitive spirit.
Putting it out there.
Putting it out there.
So is there a stereotype at play, do you think?
Well, one stereotype I hear often is that women hold grudges and we fester and we obsess is part of the stereotype. We have a little harder time brushing it off and just recognizing that, oh, that's maybe them feeling insecure, as opposed to internalizing it and being like, oh, you know, I've got something I really need to work on.
Which bends my brain to an emotional chord, right? We know, not in every case. I mean, I'm kind of speaking stereotypically now when I say this, but a lot of women are known for being a little more emotional, a little more soft.
A little bit more emotional, and we can really kind of fester over the point, and then we strike in a similar way. If we're feeling like we were attacked upon, then we attack, and it just kind of cycles. Exactly, rather than just kind of rising above it and taking a step back and recognizing that we don't need to,
Well, we all know women that are mean, but we don't always know what to do when we're targeted. I like the word strike, right? When we are struck upon, I guess you could say. You've got some strategies. A good place to start, you say, is to try to get underneath the surface and really understand her motives.
Yes, absolutely. If you can try to put yourself in the other person's shoes, you might think that they are the most confident person in the world and they totally have their act together. A lot of times that's really just a front. Usually the meanest of girls have very deep-rooted insecurities and jealousies, and the way that they make them feel better, it's exactly like it is in high school, right? They're looking for a target. In middle school, it was a little bit more, I think, open. You realize when you had a direct attack. And as women, sometimes you still, grown adults, you realize when you've had a direct strike. The hard part is when it's really subtle, and you don't realize until after that you're bleeding and one of your limbs just fell off.
You
and
go
you're
home
like,
after and you're like processing that conversation again. There's the rumination again. But you're processing that and thinking, hold on, that was mean.
Right. And sometimes it's really not meant that way. Like, oh, I wish I had your confidence to pair patterns together. And then, like, the more you think about it, you're like, she just called me a circus clown. I totally recognize that. She called me a clown.
Do you know what I find, though, sometimes when I think about it, I don't want to justify away the behavior, but I don't think mean women know they're being mean.
I think that sometimes when it's a real insecurity, and if you're really succeeding in an area that maybe they really wanted to, I think maybe they don't realize how strongly it can come across. But I agree. I think that sometimes people really do just make mistakes and they say stupid comments. And if you recognize that maybe you have done that, nothing beats just an honest apology.
Maybe that's just being naive, but I genuinely think people don't understand sometimes how they're coming across.
How they're coming across, or how that came across to you, because we all process things differently. And if you have a certain insecurity about something, someone can make a comment about it and think that you're totally a confident person, but really that offended you in a very deep way.
In the moment, you say try to stop the reaction. Don't react.
Don't react. Don't play the game. Especially, too, I think no one responds at their best when they're feeling hurt or taken aback. And I think that if you react, you can feed on those reactions. So taking a step back and realizing even a day, and then if it still really bothers you, you can confront them and say, it really kind of hurt hurt my feelings when you said that the other day. And I don't know if you realized that.
But with some time and distance.
Time and distance. Yeah, and don't you always kind of walk away and go, man, why didn't I say this?
Wish I
Have the
coulda.
perfect comeback.
Yeah.
You always, hindsight's 20/20, but it really does help to just walk away and realize that maybe it's not your problem. It might just be the space that they're coming from.
Yeah, and you point out if you can't stay composed in the moment, the better strategy is to walk away,
Yeah.
to breathe, to take some space.
Exactly. To reflect upon it, maybe get an opinion or two, and a sounding board, and someone to be like, no. I think you're maybe reading that a little wrong.
How can you take a mean woman's power away? That sounds like a strong question, but a lot of times I think we give them this power over us or our emotions. How can we strip that?
I think that people who are purposely trying to be mean pretty often feed off of reactions, and they can tell when they've got someone who's playing ball and really is exhibiting some vulnerability and some weakness. So I think not reacting, right? It totally strips them of their power to show that it really didn't affect you and that you have a lot of self-worth and that you know who you are and that you can just pretend that they're invisible. And if you're not comfortable completely ignoring someone, at least distance yourself. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times this is hard because women have really great friendships, and sometimes this happens within those friendship circles. So it's important that if there's someone that is consistently just, you walk away and don't feel better about yourself after spending time with them, create some distance. Be less and less available when they call, and find other people that really make you feel good every time you're around them, and place your emphasis there.
I think that's a great gut check. How do they make me feel?
How do they make you feel after? And it's one of those things like, oh, it seemed on the surface like a totally normal exchange.
Yeah.
And it's not until after that I realized, like,
that was not okay.
That was not okay. What just happened, right?
And I guess the phrase "kill 'em with kindness."
Yeah.
Does that apply, or is that my naive heart speaking again?
No. I think that's it. That's it.
Because a lot of
Rise
times
above it.
we're taught to hit a person's tone or their communication style to match their communication style. But in this case, don't counterattack. Just pull back.
Just pull back, exactly. I think that if you're counterattacking and you're being a part of that, a lot of times that can just make it worse because they will feed on that reaction and realize that they're having some type of an effect.
Yeah.
And maybe that's exactly what they want. So, yeah, go take the high road every time.
You were the perfect woman for this.
Oh,
you're the anti-mean woman out there.
Oh,
You champion and cheer women on.
You.
So thank you so much.